it's a harder grasp, and I think that's what made his relationship with Uncle Ben a lot better. And later on, Aunt May becomes that touchstone, right? So it's weird because I would have expected them to go older.
But that's the trend now, is that we gotta have hot moms, hot aunts, which, okay, moms can be sometimes hot, but it's like, in this movie, she's not Aunt May, she's Aunt MILF. I want to bang Aunt May. So you get that Spider Squirt and Aunt MILF to look forward to in Homecoming. Great.
This is like the Axel Braun Spider-Man porno spoof.
Yeah.
Web slinger. Damn.
I mean, Marisa Tomei is a great actress. I like her. My Cousin Vinny. She's done some great stuff.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, you look at movies like Slums of Beverly Hills. She's amazing. Seinfeld. She was amazing on Seinfeld. Great actress, but I just don't. I can't see her as. I just can't see her as in that role. I can't. It just doesn't.
And it doesn't seem like, I know you talked about stuff being forced in and sort of stuffed in like a turkey.
Yeah.
This Peter Parker Spider-Man, his introduction, was that forced into you?
It kind of felt, yeah. It felt like they only brought him in so they could put him in the trailer. It felt like they only brought him in so they could use him for that fight scene. Like, that fight scene is pretty much what they put down on the trailer as the big event, right? And it's not even the main part of the movie. It's like near the middle of the movie, right? So, or to the beginning of, like, the end of the last act going into the beginning of the end of the second act going into the beginning of the third act.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt like it didn't need to be there. I would have rather them show him more in the old Spider-Man suit, like the one that they kind of tease with the holograms. Like, I would have liked to see that more.
Yeah, I mean, his suit didn't bother me. I mean, I'll talk more about that, but, you have Iron Man, he wants recruits, finds Peter Parker, goes to his apartment where, I talked about where Tony Stark is flirting with Aunt May, might as well be blowing his iron dick.
Yeah, he was getting a hand job there when Peter walked in.
You just know it.
All that money, walking into the slums. Come on, Aunt May. We see through. We know what this Aunt May is about.
Yeah, and it's Tony Stark. He doesn't. He's getting his iron dick blown by Marisa Tomei, Aunt MILF.
Iron Man triathlon.
But, Stark and Peter have a talk in Peter's room. He knows his secret. Which, I have to ask, how does he figure that out? Okay, well, he shows a virtual screen of Spider-Man, and I know fans are going to explain, well, he's Tony Stark, he can figure that out, his technology can figure that out. But, I mean, and yes, Spider-Man wasn't more than this than I thought. But again, just going back to this guy, to me, he sucked as Spider-Man.
Yeah. And that's, he probably, has all that satellite, capability, like, oh, who says that? The government isn't spying on you, but Tony Stark is. Because, let's face it, he followed Spider-Man home on that satellite, figured out all this shit, and when he needed help to take down something he thought could have been bigger, he did not think twice about throwing a little kid into a bad situation.
Yeah, so, you're endangering kids.
Yeah, and I know I'm going to get hate mail for that one.
I know folks are going to go that shit and bring fire down via the keyboard. But even as Spider-Man, this guy, I didn't laugh once. Like, to me, his wisecracks and wit, it's just not funny. Okay, yeah. Spider-Man, during the airport scene, says, holy shit. Okay, one line that was passable and perhaps got a chuckle. But his wisecracks sucked. No wit, not for me. People can love this guy to the freaking moon. More power to you. I was just not a fan. I'm being honest.
I feel like they're just rushing to get the next phase, like rushing things to make the next phase a little more bigger or more epic. But yeah, like certain elements, because they changed the story anyway, so why not just exclude Spider-Man? Unless it was to give us a little, a little tease, but like I liked the new suit and everything. I thought he looked great. Just felt like why throw that in here? Just felt like a weird place to throw something like that into.
Yeah, you could have waited. Maybe his voice would have gotten a little bit deeper. Because I shouldn't. It's like, again, like I said before, you want to get a young guy, then get a guy who's adult-like. That's not a 13, 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
But the second thing, to me, the biggest cons of the film, the villain.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't really a villain. He was like I said before, he was like a Scooby-Doo red herring, Like I was expecting him, like when they had like the fake Bucky mask on him, like when he was wearing like the fake faces and all that. Like just pull a face off like Scooby-Doo and be like, red herring,
Zoinks!
Zoinks, exactly. I could have got away with it if it wasn't for those damn kids in that spider.
Those damn Avengers.
Those damn Avengers in that spider.
I know this guy, this actor's name is Daniel Bruhl. To me, he was lame, he was forgettable, and I know it's quite interesting because it seems a lot of people are disagreeing that they said that he's the best Marvel villain yet, his story is more complex, his motivation is deep, he had a plan, he created this war between the Avengers, he didn't be a supervillain. This is what people are saying. Yeah,
but that works in the comics, but it doesn't work in this movie. It doesn't work, like certain things, okay, the mythos and everything, you know it from the book, so it makes a lot more sense. But then you throw it into the movie, and all those layers of the onion that you already know about, they don't address it in the movie. So therefore, it doesn't come across as powerful as it would to the average comic book reader from reading it from a book.
And I know fans are going to go nuts because... And also, too, I have to ask, for those that are saying that Zemo is the best, what happened to all that Loki dick writing?
Yeah.
Because even though I got tired, after a while people saying that Loki was the best and now it's Zemo, this guy did nothing for me acting-wise.
Yeah, I never even liked Loki. I thought he was like, eh.
But he's better than this guy.
Yeah. He's great when he's getting beat up by the Hulk, but...
And I guess we could talk about kind of what happens in the middle of the film where they blow up this embassy and you kind of have Black Panther thinking Bucky is responsible. He killed his father, who was this embassy leader. Find out later it was Zemo, and they start the hunt for Bucky, which creates this rift between characters. Captain America and Iron Man have a fallout. And then kind of going towards the end of the film, skipping along here, Captain and Bucky team up to pursue Zemo into this abandoned base somewhere in the Arctic. I'm just guessing. Because after the airport scene, Captain's team are being held as criminals in this ocean base.
Yeah.
This underwater prison. Iron Man finds Captain America and Bucky in space. At first, Captain America is a little defensive, but they come together to hunt for Zemo. Zemo is able to trap them. He traps them in this room. And you have all these other Winter Soldiers kept in these pods, and they do nothing with them. I mean, do you find that weird?
Yeah, like you were saying before, it was very Judge Dredd. It was very like how they dropped the ball on Dredd. They dropped it again on this one. And it's weird because they really amp up those other soldiers. Like when they're going into the flashback and all that, they really amp them up as like this badass. They'll take down a country overnight. Kind of, they have the power to disable the world, but they don't do anything with it. It's like, it's the elephant in the room. but they're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, it's like they show them in these pods that they had been, I guess, frozen in time, whatever, and you see them, but Zemo does nothing with them. It's like you expect something big, you're expecting a fight, and they just kind of brush it off, like in Judge Dredd. You know, it's like Stallone doesn't fight the clones or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like that. I mean, yeah, this movie's better than Judge Dredd, but Zemo, he's kind of behind this window, so to speak. He rolls out this TV, revealing surveillance footage that Bucky programmed back in 1991, which the film opens up with the beginning, like Bucky runs his car off the road to murder the occupants of this car and to steal some super soldier serum from the trunk. Well, in this tape, Zemo reveals the people in the car were Tony's parents, and Bucky had killed Tony's parents because he was programmed. Then Tony asks, Captain America, did you know about this? Did you know about this? And Captain America lies at first, and then he says, yes, I knew. So in a way, Captain America's an asshole.
Yeah. And you could you could say, okay, well, the guy was under mind control and all this, but still at the end of the day, he did do it. He did kill Tony's parents, so.
And I get people would say, well, Bucky was programmed, him and Steve have been friends since the war, before Iron Man. But for how long did Captain America knew Bucky killed Tony's parents and didn't bother to mention that to him? You make Captain America into a dick because he probably knew for a while or whatever, since, the Winter Soldier? Or, for however long, that Bucky murdered Tony's parents, whether he was programmed or not. Then, cue the fight scenes between Bucky and Iron Man in the third act inside the base. Captain America's trying to stop Iron Man from killing Bucky, but becomes pretty much a 2-on-1 match, a la Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah.
Bucky's arm is destroyed because he tries to rip off Iron Man's arc, and Captain America and Iron Man has this fight that goes a few minutes and ends with Captain America taking down Iron Man and pretty much disables his armor with the shield. He hits him right in the arc.
Yeah.
Which I have to ask, do you buy that?
I thought Tony was going to die. Because, in the other one, right? Like, any little thing that happened to that arc, man, he was all fucked up. Either he had to make that solution, and then they kind of forced the alcoholic version in there without even doing the alcoholic story. Which I would have liked to see maybe in this one if they would have made Tony fall prey to alcoholism to get, to try and get through what was going on. Because, Ross kind of uses him like a puppet. Ross has his hand up Iron Man's ass through a lot of this movie, so just little things, like I thought, the arc has always, always been treated with, like a dire circumstance for tampering with it. And it's always been met with very, stern focal point on the connection to it being what's keeping Tony alive. And when they're like a million miles away from civilization and fucking Captain just takes out the ark and then fucking leaves him there to die, you would think that Iron Man would have died. Realistically, in the real world, Iron Man would have died. He wouldn't have been able to make it back. There's no way.
I mean, people are going to say, well, he's Tony Stark. He probably was probably able to track down something, or I don't know. It's just
he used a paper clip and put it back together.
He did a MacGyver shit. Did some MacGyver shit. Got out of there. Got out of that fort base, whatever. But